Stylez, back for another video, part 3. And so what happened was, during that month, when she took all her stuff out of the house, and she like moved, like she was like, I'm leaving, I'm not coming back, whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you're not coming back, you'll be back. And that's exactly what happened. She was back several different times. And so after I changed the locks, she literally came the next day, I think, or the day after, or whenever. She came. No. She came. No, it was after I changed the locks, but she came. I forget. It was a few weeks later or whatever when she finally, like, officially decided to leave and move out and go. She came back that very next day after she decided to leave, whenever that was, in August. And I was inside getting ready to leave to go to my friend's house. Then my friend that had lived in West Palm, you guys have seen her on the channel. And if you guys follow my channel enough, you'll know who that is. And so I was there, and I was headed there. And so I got up that day and I got ready. I wasn't in glam or anything. I just had gotten ready, and I was just like, okay, I'm finna go. And when I looked out my window, I was like, oh, okay, it looks like a nice day. I didn't see anything. And now from the front window of that house where our bedroom was, the front window was our bedroom window, you could see across the street at the church, you could see the parking lot, you could see everything that was happening on that street, you could see everything that was going down on the block. I didn't see anything abnormal. I didn't see anything that would catch my eye when I looked out the window when I was getting changed, like when I was getting ready. And sometimes I got changed with the window open. I just did, because I wasn't really afraid of anything. And from the street, you couldn't really see what was happening in our house anyway, so it didn't really matter. So then, so I would just watch, and I was getting ready, and then I was walking out the door. And I walked out the door, and I locked the door, and I knew that it's okay. And I was like, if she comes here, she'll be wasting her time because she won't be able to get in. So I said, let me just make sure I have my phone on me, because if she calls me because she came back, and I was like anticipating that she would come back because she always did. I was like, yeah, please, she'll be back. And I know she's coming back, And she was like, she has my son. She's coming back because she's not going to do that. She wants CJ to make sure that CJ is around his dad. And she's not going to do that because that's like the pact that we made. Like, do not do to CJ what happened to you. It's bad enough you don't have a dad. Don't do that to him. And we kind of like made that agreement. And that clearly is out the window now, and that's why I'm making these series of videos. But anywho, so and lo and behold, I was right. She came back, but she came back before I left. So I was walking out the door, and I locked the door, and I was walking to the car, and by the time I hit the key fob to unlock the doors to the truck, I looked across the street and I said, oh, I know that Sentra. I know that car. I said, I know that's not her mama Sentra over there. And lo and behold, I look really hard and I say, oh, yes, it is. And I seen both of them bastards sitting right there in the car through the windshield. And I said, now what do? I didn't freeze or anything, but I looked, and the wind kept blowing, and my hair was down, I believe. Yeah, it was down. And it just kept blowing in my face, and I was just like, I couldn't believe my eyes. I kept like kind of going like this, like, is that for real? Are they serious? And so I got inside the truck and I called, and this is kind of like behind the scenes stuff, because this is not stuff that we talked about, which I'm sure they're going to see, because, everybody in her family stalks this channel, so I'm sure they're going to watch it. Hey, y'all. Anyways, so I get in the car, and I call my friend where I was going, and I say, girl, you won't believe this here. And she say, what? And I say, her mama and her is outside my house, across the street in the parking lot. I guess they waiting for me to leave or something, like they getting ready to break in. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, if I'm supposed to just leave. And she goes, "Did you change the locks?" I said, "Yeah, I changed the locks." She said, "Okay, then pull off, because it's not like she can get inside." And I said, if I pull off, it's gonna be some shit, because then she's gonna call law enforcement. I don't know exactly how that's gonna go. And she was like, "How do you know that she probably already didn't? She probably already called the police." And I said, "Yeah, that's a possibility," which she did already had called the police. And I said, "Well, let me call you back. Let me call the police too and see what's going on, because technically this is trespassing, because she signed herself off the lease at this point and she has no right to be here. She has no reason to be here." So I called, and she certainly didn't tell me she was coming. So I called I called the police, and they said, "We already have a call for that address." I said, "That's absolutely irrelevant to me. I'm the owner of the house. So you 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 need to be getting a call from me. You need to be responding to me, not whoever called before, because that's not important." So when I pulled off, went to the gas station, and I said, "By the time I come back from the gas station, the police should be here." Mind you, when I pulled off, I'm thinking it's fine, they're gonna stay right where they at. When I came back around, the church, and I seen this bitch pull in my driveway. I'm thinking, this bitch is too fucking comfortable. Now, mind you, this is the shit that I'm talking about. Do I do that at your house? Do I pull up in your driveway? I don't do that shit, do you? And all of this stuff is disrespectful to me. Point blank, period, dot. You do not fucking live here. I don't give a fuck if your daughter is here. Your daughter doesn't live here either, technically. She's already made her choice. She lives back up there with you, so what the fuck are you doing here, and why are you in my driveway? And so I stopped the truck in the middle of the road, and I'm like, what the fuck? And the police was like, "You need to move because you're blocking traffic." And I'm like, she needs to move. I'm in the street because she's in my fucking driveway. And she was like, "Just park right there for right now until we figure out what's going on." And so I parked along across the bottom of the driveway, and I kind of blocked the whole entrance to the driveway with the truck. Like, since you want to park there, I'm finna park this big bitch here, and I want you to hit it and see what happens. And so I sat there and I say, "This is gonna be some shit, because these officers don't really look like they give a fuck." And so then when Miss Charles, the officer Charles, she did give a fuck, and she was really cool about everything. So she pleaded her case that I'm here to pick up my stuff and that's it, and blah blah blah. And I say, "No, she ain't got no business here. She signed her name off the lease. She does not live here anymore. She made her choice, and I'm busy, and I have somewhere I'm trying to go." They said, "Can you spare a few minutes, just 10 minutes, to let her get her stuff?" And when she said 10 minutes, I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be 10 minutes. That 10 minutes became 45 minutes. But anyhow, I said, "Well," talking about just let her go up there and get her stuff. I said, "Well, I have to unlock the door because I changed the locks." So then here her mama go, "Change the locks. You see, they doing foul shit already. They shouldn't even be allowed to do that. That's against the law." Not knowing what the fuck she's talking about, once again, because her daughter didn't tell her that she signed herself off the lease. She didn't tell her that. She didn't tell her that I legally have the right to change the locks, because she had signed herself off the lease almost 3-4 weeks prior. She's almost a month prior. So it's kind of like we at the end of August, going into July or whatever. Oh, let me see, June, April, July. Yeah, whatever. So we was going into the next month, and I was like, what the fuck you talking about? Um, and and I was like, does she not realize that we've been talked about her getting off the thing in May, and it's about to be September? I was literally like, this bitch is something else. So then, I went up there and I unlocked the door, and what can we do about that? And I showed the police. She signed herself off the lease, and they were like, okay, well, there's nothing she can do because technically she don't live here no more. And I don't know what they told her or whatever, because I've been and walked away to go to the door. And so I was there, and she went inside, and she had her garbage bags, and she's taking all of my stuff, all the stuff that I paid for CJ and all his clothes and everything like that. She's taking it all. Diapers, wipes, Pampers, all that stuff that even my two best friends had paid for. They paid for some of that stuff. Gone. She took everything, all the supplies for him, as if I didn't have to care for him when he was with me, because she had no intention of giving him to me. See how that goes? Stay with me. So then when we were standing there and she was packing up her stuff, I was on the phone with my friend who I was supposed to be on my way to see, an hour drive. They came from the same place because they live in West Palm. They live 10 minutes from this person. So I'm like, they know how long this drive is. Like, what the fuck are they delaying me for? I have things to do, and 10 minutes, it been past. And so I'm talking on the phone, they saying stuff, and then this whole big fight breaks out between my friend that's on speakerphone and my wife, and they just start screaming at each other, going crazy, calling me out my name, and everything's just going crazy. And then my friend is cussing out her mom, and everybody is talking to everybody. The police talking about some, can you not have the phone on speakerphone? Like, it's like you're antagonizing. I said, ma'am, this is my house, this is my property. You asked me to do y'all a favor. I don't have to let her even do this. I could tell her to get the fuck off this property. Don't tell me that I can't be on the phone on my fucking property. I said, you see how her mama come up here and call me out all these nasty names and disrespect me while she's holding my baby? This fat, sloppy, low hanging titty ass, having asshole, no booty back, long self tail, she coming over here saying all this shit to me, and y'all have the nerve to sit here and tell me that I'm in the wrong? Tell Miss Hunchback of Notre Dame to shut the fuck up. Don't come over here and tell me what I'm supposed to be doing on my motherfucking property, because that's what we're not gonna do. That's what we're not gonna do. I tell her long titty having ass to take her ass on somewhere. So, and my wife going crazy like a fucking fire-breathing dragon in there, like she'd been and lost her fucking mind. And she was like, oh, I never get this angry, and I'm like, yes you do. This is you behind closed doors. I'm like, your family may not have seen this before, but I certainly have, and it don't bother me because you look stupid. So then she finally ends up leaving or whatever. She said, oh, where's my uniform, or where's my uniform to the job so I can return it and pick up my check, and blah 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 blah, and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't have that shit no more. I've been and already returned it for you, which was not a lie, because I did. Talking about some, no, he's hiding stuff in his truck. I said, she can go ahead and go through the truck, and I even unlocked the truck for her, and she didn't find shit because I actually did it already. I already had returned the shit. And so it was already, it was just all this stuff, like. And then she was like, can I get the birth certificate and the social security card? I said, I'm not giving you that, and I never will. I never will. I'm not giving you that, because I already knew what she was on. I already knew that she was going to try and hold him forever and ever and ever, like she's doing right now at this very moment. And it's been an entire year, and I ain't seen my kids since then. And so, what is that? I don't know what that is. TikTok. I don't have that on my phone. So then they eventually just leave, and she say, don't come back to this property. But I had asked the police to trespass them, but they never did. And they were like, that won't be necessary because, whatever. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if y'all think it's not going to be necessary. I'm telling you to trespass them, and they just never would. And every single time the police was called, I told them, trespass her and the mom and the siblings. I want I want all of them, all of her demon seeds trespass from my property. I don't want them over here. And they never listened to what I was telling them to do. Not like trespass orders really make a difference, because they can get broken really easily, and by the fact that my wife was coming back and forth, it would have been broken regardless, because she doesn't have a car, she doesn't have a driver's license, and her mom has to bring her everywhere because she's still a little girl that acts like she's in fucking high school, and she still dresses like she's in middle school, and she's still a little kid that's totally dependent on her mom. So then and so then after that, I was just like, all right, now I don't even want to hang out. I don't even want to chill. I don't even remember what it was I was supposed to be going up there to do, but whatever it was, I was not in the mood to do, and I was like, fuck this shit. I really don't want to do this shit anymore. I had called one of my trustees, which was Miss Gamble at the time. She used to be the security at Cross Creek School. I had called her and was talking to her, and I was, she was like a therapist to me, kind of like she was, somebody that I trusted on staff at the school that I used to go to. And she was Broward County Public School staff. And so I called her and I was telling her about the situation. She was like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, what the fuck is wrong with her? And she had talked to my wife several times, and it didn't could never really make out what the problem was, because she can't communicate to save her life. If it's really that big of a problem, you should be able to communicate whatever that problem is, and she just never could. And so anyways, so I was sitting there, and I'm like, this is old. This is getting tiring. Like, I'm so sick of this. I just want this to be over and done with. And that's what I was telling her. I said, I'm on my way to West Palm, and I'm gonna go see my friend and whatever. And all three of us was in the room at some point, or no, we was in the car. And Miss Gamble was still on the phone, and she was just preaching at us, do not allow that little boy to be taken, and she's on bullshit, and she's gonna get that child taken, and she's fucking up that child mentally, and she was just going in. And I'm like, Gamble, I know all this already. You ain't telling me nothing I don't already know. I know that, she's bad news for this child, because she's the one that's exasperating this situation. And so every time he was with me, he's fine. He doesn't cry. He's chilling. He's fine. It's okay. He take his bath. He watches cartoons. He go to bed, and whatever. And we wake up and we play, and he pets the dogs, or kind of looks at the dogs until he was able to like grab and stuff like that. And he was fine. We didn't really have no problems. We didn't have no problems like that. He was okay. And she used to run to the neighbor's house to use their phone and to call people to come pick her up, and just all types of crazy shit. And so after that, a lot of months went by until like the holidays started to roll around, and she was keeping me from him that whole time. Like, it was every time I wanted to see him, it was only for like a day or whatever. Like, every single time it was a problem. When it came to holiday time, I was kind of like forcing it, because I'm like, my family doesn't need to know that we're having all these fights and that things are as bad as it is. So I was forcing that we be together for holidays, and we did just that. We were together faking it for holidays for like a day or two, and those were the days that I got to see my son, and then she'd take him back to West Palm and I wouldn't see him again. So when I finally was able to get him for February, I agreed to take him, and this is a very interesting part of the story. So I don't know if I'm going to stop it now, because I literally have 10 minutes to explain this part, so I'm going to try to make it quick. So every time she would give me the biggest problem about like getting him, and I had to agree to her parameters, and everything was controlled by her, and I had to agree to this or I wasn't getting him, and I had to like this, and I had to do it this way, and I had to and it was just like, you don't control me, I'm his dad. So that was the problem that I was having, and I'm like, I'm not going back and forth with you. I'm not gonna argue with no bitch over my son. So then I would just agree, me and my best friend, Tajay, everybody know Tajay. She was just like, you just have to agree to the 3 days, but then keep him for longer because it's not okay for her to have him for weeks and months at a time and you only get him for 3 days. That's not okay. That's not acceptable. I said, okay, yeah, 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 I'm with that. So then that's what I ended up doing. And that ended up being a little bit of a problem because when I told her that I was extending it, it was like this big, big deal. Like, oh, no, you're not. You're giving him back and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I'm keeping him until Valentine's Day. And so she would argue me down. This was February 2nd that I picked him up. February 2nd is also the date of the Carrie Underwood concert. It was the day that I filmed that video. So if anybody saw the Carrie Underwood concert video that is up on this channel, you would see CJ in the back seat, in the car seat that particular day when I was in West Palm picking up my best friend. I picked my son up at the same time. And she gave me the biggest problem when I was picking him up that day, and I had Tajay as a witness because when I was picking him up, she was in the car watching the whole ordeal from the car. Okay, she could hear what we were saying, what we were arguing about on the street, and she could hear everything because she was in the car. I have blackout windows, so you can't see what's in my car from far away. You can't see nothing. You can't even see through the windshield. If I was coming directly at you, you wouldn't even know who was driving the car. That's how dark the windows is. And so, and I have it like that for a reason. So, she could not see that there was somebody else in the car, and I certainly didn't want to tell her that somebody else was in the car because then she wouldn't have given him to me at all. So then that happened. So I was able to get him. I'll start the next part. Hold on.